This summer should have been the turning point in this war. For weeks and months, the world anticipated the Ukrainian offensive in the east of the country. Now, things have been moving for a couple of weeks now, and the results are poor. Ukraine lost a giant chunk of its equipment in mere weeks. The new Western hardware destroyed, and thousands of casualties for a few hundred meters of land. In this video, we will compare the problems of the Russian army with the ones the Ukrainians are facing, why a blitzkrieg-like tactic is not working anymore, and why we all have wrong expectations about this war. Welcome to Dark New World. This world has gone crazy. German Leopard 2 tanks are fighting off Russians on Ukrainian soil. There are nuclear reactors sitting directly at the front line of the biggest military conflict in Europe since World War II. One thing that surprised everyone was the slow speed in which both sides are advancing. In most modern theaters, the front lines moved rather quickly. Introduced in the Second World War by the Germans, the blitzkrieg tactic allowed the Germans to conquer almost all of Europe in weeks and months. But in Ukraine, the front lines are not moving at all. It seems like for the last 9 months, nothing has really changed. And with the important role that the artillery and trenches are playing in this war, many compare this conflict to the horrendous battlefields of World War I, where the capture of 100 meters of land after fighting for years was considered a victory. But first things first, the war in Ukraine is a war of attrition. It's not about the better tactics, the most modern battlefield tank or something else, but only a game of math and resources. To oversimplify the situation for you here, Ukraine and Russia are throwing manpower, equipment and money at the front line. And at some point, one side will run out of one of these three, or all of them. And then, we maybe have a winner. But that would mean that the situation is not very fair. Ukraine has 3 times less people, and Russia has a much bigger army than Ukraine. But Ukraine has full NATO support, which includes training of its soldiers, equipment and intelligence data. What many people don't know about the conflict is that Ukraine is mobilizing very aggressively. For Ukraine, it's way worse to run out of people than running out of tanks. Because while NATO can just continue to deliver weapon systems to Ukraine, they cannot send any additional personnel, at least for now. Russia, on the other hand, is also mobilizing to recruit new military servicemen to fight in Ukraine. It is nice to have a professional army, but in a war of attrition, these types of troops are very expensive, and Russia cannot allow to lose more of its professional units. That's why it started to conscript so early into the war. These cheap troops will be sent to the front lines, used as cannon fodder to grind down Ukrainian defenses. And even with this human wave tactics, Russia was not able to advance far into Ukraine. The media portrayed this as incompetence of the Russian army. They are highly ineffective, that is true. But now, with the Ukrainian counteroffensive in full swing, it seems like Ukraine is facing the exact same problems. They lost so much equipment that they had to force a tactical pause in their operations to slow down the rate of their losses and to rethink their strategy. While Russia can continue to throw people and equipment into the meat grinder, Ukraine unfortunately can't. So any offensive on the Ukrainian side has to be well thought out, keeping in mind the limited resources they have. Both sides need a success, quick. Ukraine because it's running out of men, and Russia because it's running out of morale and unity, as the Wagner coup attempt showed. There are divisions in the Russian army, and at some point, all the problems the Russians are facing as a nation will bring them to their knees. But this is a topic for another video. I don't claim that I know how things will play out, but I can tell you with certainty that both sides are running out of time. And in situations like these, escalation is not far away. Like the recent attacks on nuclear infrastructure. In this video here, I talk about a situation at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, and why a catastrophe is not unlikely. And on the right, I talk about the new arms race in AI, and why we are basically reliving the 1930s. I will be soon back with a full-length report. Right now, I have some time limitations, so forgive me the lower quality than usual. My name is Dennis, thank you for watching and goodbye.